We are going to be doing literal equations, but kicking it up a notch in this particular video. But before we kick it up a notch, I want to review just a basic two-step equation. So first, the review equation is going to be x divided by 3, and that's kind of expressed like a fraction, so x divided by 3 plus 1 is equal to 16. Let's go ahead and draw our barrier around our equal sign. And then let's remember PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So whenever we solve equations, we solve and we undo or we unravel equations in the opposite direction. So we group adding and subtracting first. So you always do the opposite of either adding or subtracting. And then we're going to do the opposite of multiplying and dividing. So adding and subtracting first. And then we're going to undo multiplying and dividing second. And then you may get to exponents and parentheses. Okay. So the first operation that I see is addition. So we're going to do the opposite of that, which just means I subtract 1 on each side. 1 minus 1 is 0, so I'm left with x divided by 3. Again, I'm going to read that as x divided by 3, and 16 minus 1 is 15. This operation here is division, and the opposite of that is to multiply. So we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3 cancels, and we're left with x is equal to 15 times 3, which is 45. Okay, so I think we're just about ready for a literal equation. However, we're going to do one more review, and this time I'm going to review with the distributive property. So as we do with the literal equations, and as we deal with them, I don't know why I said do, there is going to be distributive property. However, it's going to be easier to do the inverse instead of distributing a letter through the parentheses. So first, let me show you what I mean. This particular operation, if I was to multiply, I just told you the operation, the 3 through the parentheses, I'm using multiplication. So let's just go ahead and do the inverse of that, which is going to be divide by 3 on both sides. So this cancels, and you're left with m minus 3 is equal to 24 divided by 3 is 8. And then the opposite of adding or subtracting is addition. Okay, so we are going to, this cancels. We're left with m is equal to 11. Okay, literal equation time. So we're going to be using the same concept, but I'm going to throw in an equation with limited numbers. Okay, so equation that we're going to use, so now it's literal equation time. X plus b divided, x divided by 5 plus b is equal to f, and we're going to solve for x. Okay, so again, I always suggest that you go ahead and either put a box around x, or this time x is a part of a whole package. So I'm going to put a box around the entire package, and I cannot touch that package until everything else gets removed, which means I need to get rid of the plus b. So the opposite of adding b is going to be subtracting b from both sides. And I should have written down the barrier. Okay. B minus b cancels. And so I'm left with x divided by 5. And this just says f minus b. I cannot combine those. They are not like terms. They are different letters. Okay, this step is division. So the opposite of that is multiplication. And I multiply by 5 over here. Now keep in mind that all of this gets multiplied by 5. So there's 2 ways to look at it from here. Well, first I'm left with x. Okay, I can write it as f times f minus b. However, some multiple choices may go ahead and distribute the 5 through and say 5f minus 5b. Again, as long as you know that these two are equivalent or the same or equal, then you'll do just fine with the practice assignments. Let's do one more like that. Okay, little equation number 2, G divided by 8 plus W is equal to Q, and we're going to solve for G. Okay, so my barrier for my wall. I have what I'm solving for. I'm going to put that into a package, so I cannot touch any of this until I remove and undo or pull away the other pieces. So we're going to do the opposite of adding W, which is subtracting. W minus W cancels. So we have G divided by 8 is equal to Q minus W. This particular operation here is division, so we're going to multiply by 8. And keep in mind that you're multiplying by that entire subtraction expression, Q minus W. 8 divided by 8 cancels, so you are left with G is equal to, you can write it as 8 times Q minus W, or 8Q minus 8W. Those are equivalent expressions. Okay, we have one more level to take it up today, and that is going to be X plus Y. All of that numerator is going to be divided by 2 is equal to A, and we're solving for X. Okay, so with this one being said, yes, whenever we do the opposite inverse operations, we always either undo addition or subtraction, but be very careful. As they get more complicated, taking away pieces of the numerator first is not going to work, but because there's no coefficients in here, it's working for the moment. But let's go ahead and get in the habit of all of this on top. Basically, there's not parentheses there, but this whole entire piece on top is divided by 2. So we can't pull away from this package just yet on the top, because the whole piece is, again, being divided by 2. X plus Y is being divided by 2. So we need to go ahead and undo division first. So we're going to be multiplying by 2 on both sides. Multiplying by 2, 2 divided by 2 does cancel. So we have X plus Y left equals A times 2. Okay, so I'm going to write that as X plus Y is equal to 2A. I'm going to put the coefficient in front of the A just because that's common mathematical practice. Okay, and the opposite, I'm getting X by itself, so the opposite of adding Y is subtracting Y. So we're left with X is equal to 2A minus Y. Okay, we cannot combine those. And let's do one more level. Okay, C times 1 plus R is equal to capital R, and we're solving for the lowercase r. Okay, so be very careful. Yes, there are the same numbers in here, but we also need to be solving for the lowercase r and not the capital. Okay, you can't say, oh, I already solved this equation, it's equal to r. No, we're solving for the lowercase r. Okay, so just like in the distributive property that we did at the very beginning of today's lesson, if I was to distribute the c through, that operation is multiplication. So we're just going to go ahead and undo that by dividing by c on both sides. So then the c cancels. And we are left with 1 plus r is equal to capital R divided by c. Okay, we literally just write down what we see. And then at this particular point, we're ready to do the inverse of, we're wanting to solve for r, so we're going to do the opposite of this positive 1. So we're going to subtract 1 on both sides. 1 minus 1 cancels, so we're left with lowercase r is equal to capital R divided by c, subtract 1. Okay, hope this video has helped. If you're watching during the 2020-21 school year of our virtual learning, this particular note page is going on page 16 of your notebook. Okay, The independent practice is going on page 17. And your Google form work is going to go on page 18. Okay, so this is Google form. Solving literal equations. Again, that's page 18. Solving literal equations level 2 was on page 17. So if you want to put like a level 2 on there, you can. And then the notes is on page 16. Best of luck on solving your literal equation.